Okay, Baloney and Applesauce. This should be dropping Monday, so hopefully you've seen What If.
What if Starlord was T'Challa? Hey everyone, I'm Thor,
I'm Eric.
and applesauce and baloney. What if episode 2?
Episode 2.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Wow, man. Yeah. Who here hasn't been to space before? You know, that's how I felt. That's how boy, they eased us in with the first episode, didn't they? Because this one was wild.
Yeah, yeah.
If you thought Captain Carter, being the first Avenger was wild. This one was a whole game changer. Talk about galactic wide.
Yeah. It's full cinematic universe implications, not just Avengers implications. Again, everyone, this is going to be heavy spoilers. So if you haven't
Hopefully
seen the episode yet,
yeah. Stop.
Hopefully you've seen
it. Come back.
It was a few days ago. We're not going to release this until a couple days later. But wow, I mean,
yeah, really cool.
Galactic implications. Thanos.
Thanos
Nebula,
is in his crew. Thanos is a Ravager. So basically,
yes.
Okay, so we have to start we have to begin at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like they were. So I can't remember the character's name, and I'll butcher the actor's name, even though I love him. He's been in Captain Marvel, and he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. But him being the first guy who, when Chris Pratt's Star-Lord going, who? But then he's a total fanboy.
Total fanboy.
Star-Lord. I died. He stole the show. He stole the whole episode.
Oh, he was great. Complete 180 degrees on his character. His character was very stoic in the other movies. Very comedic in this show. And it shows us very right off implications that everything is different.
Everything.
Everyone knows who Star-Lord is. He's an intergalactic Robin Hood, or Robin Leach, as Yondu would say.
Which was a great 80s throwback, because he grew up so he would have told Yondu, being a kid from 88, even from Wakanda, and wanting to explore. You assume that as a kid, T'Challa was like monitoring Earth programs, and so he probably watched Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. So yeah, I cracked up at that.
Yeah. Definitely, it was absolutely great. So,
but him being
of course.
Go ahead.
And of course, we're dealing with Chadwick Boseman, the late great Chadwick Boseman.
Moment of silence. Yeah.
They dedicated this episode to Chadwick Boseman. I feel like we should do the same for this episode. We're going to dedicate this to Chadwick Boseman.
And he'll always be Black Panther. I mean, whatever they do going forward, whoever the next Black Panther is, he's always going to be my Black Panther. And just and the other movies he was in. I mean, we could do a whole episode on, what a sad passing of talent that was. But
but again, we get the last performance of Chadwick Boseman. He is T'Challa. He is our Black Panther. Although he is not Black Panther in this episode.
Well, it seems like he ostensibly returns to be Black Panther at the end.
That is definitely what it looks like. I mean, he has the Black Panther necklace that we see him use later in the episode. So in further What If episodes, if we do what I kind of expected the last time we talked about What if these characters go on to be in a larger What If universe.
Right.
We may see a Black Panther Star-Lord. Star-Lord running around with future tech, with Wakanda tech, and the galaxy loving him because T'Challa is amazing.
Yes, but so the implications of that, because them getting him, now Earth doesn't have any Avengers that we know of, or maybe they do, and we just don't know about them. But we did see Captain America's shield in the Collector's thing. So in this universe, he's got Captain America. Like, the Collector is the big bad because there is no Thanos. So Collector is the guy.
Right. So no Thanos. T'Challa talks Thanos down in a battle of wits, which was a brilliant take on the way that T'Challa confronts things. And so we get no Infinity War, no Endgame, no Infinity Stones. Those aren't even in play.
Right.
Now,
well, the one the one in play is the one that they get, but it's a minor thing because they just trade it they just use it to get into the collector's thing.
Right.
But
right. They don't even treat it like an Infinity Stone. They treat it like an important object that's going to be used.
That's going to get them into.
It's going to power a distant planet, and then they're going to use it for their giveaway. Before we get to the collector stuff, other changes that happened. The Milano, Star-Lord's ship, is no longer the Milano. It is now the Mandela. So of course, changes depending on who the character is, changes on their past. Obviously changes.
Obviously referencing Nelson Mandela, who would be young T'Challa's hero, obviously. But I mean, it blew me away, and then bringing in all of Thanos's bad guys are now Collector's crew.
Right.
Like Proxima.
Proxima Midnight. The Maw.
Yeah. So that was great to see the way just like in First Avenger, they somehow managed to at least and just like the classic old great What If comics that you and I grew up reading that this show is based on, always managed to reference it in, like whatever the what if was, somehow the universe is trying to still kind of work things back into the sacred timeline somewhat, or at least kind of close.
Well, and kind of going back to that, we get to see Drax. Drax is in the episode. Drax's family isn't dead because Thanos didn't go on his rampaging spree across the galaxy.
Right, and I want to stop there because that is something that they hit on multiple times and actually was starting to get too sugary for me before I sort of got suspicious, and then they paid it off at the end. They went out of their way in this episode to tell you literally everything for everybody that in the Marvel universe, except maybe Captain America, who knows. But everybody's better off that T'Challa became Star-Lord until the very end of the episode, our coda of the episode, which is the showing up of Ego to a young Peter Quill, who's now not Star-Lord.
Right. He's the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Right, just mopping the floor at a Dairy Queen, and Ego shows up to pick him up, and the Watcher even says, it could be the end of the world. And so I'd imagine the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that if this What If episode wasn't a one-off, or if they ever do a second one, I could see the second one being them having to stop Ego, because it's great for everybody until Ego now, because there's no Peter Quill as Star-Lord, can now take over the whole
Ego. Yep.
And not just Earth, right? That's everybody, right? Isn't Ego's plan his seeds are across the whole universe?
Yep. But I mean, that's almost putting the cart before the horse. That's the end of the episode. but obviously one of the best parts of the episode is bringing Peter Quill in, who not played by Chris Pratt, played by a guy named Brian Delaney. But of course he's in it for so little it didn't bother me.
Right.
We get Nebula, obviously played by Karen Gillan. Her whole thing completely different.
Unmistakably Karen Gillan.
Yeah. I loved her interaction. I loved the double, triple cross.
Oh, wasn't she a great like modern femme fatale, like that version of her was really cool that they did.
Yeah.
That version of Nebula where they, T'Challa, Star-Lord stopped Thanos before he totally messed her up. And experimented on her too much. But noticeable absence in this episode, Nebula's sister.
Right. There was no Gamora.
What do you think about that?
So I did a little digging about that, and apparently in some of the poster releases and the artwork for the show, we do see Gamora in the artwork, and people mention that the outfit that she's wearing is very similar to Thanos' armor from Infinity War. So they're now wondering if Gamora didn't take up Thanos' gauntlet
his quest to do the Infinity Stones.
Yeah. So
that is interesting.
obviously something that could come down the line, could be completely baloney. We don't know.
Okay, well, yeah, because I'm just wondering if we are going to get, if these aren't just one-offs. I mean, that was What If, the comic book series. It was like a one-off. What if, Punisher killed Daredevil? Or what if the X-Men died on their very first mission? It was a one-off. It was just this weird alternate, like horrible, like, oh my gosh, what if the X-Men died? And then you're done. But what if there is going to be in the second episode that is in this one where Thanos, because he's given up, we follow her.
Well, and I definitely think that these episodes are going to be connected. We do have confirmed that Captain Carter is in other episodes of this season.
Okay. All right. Well, then that answers my question.
And also to be returning for next season. So we're obviously dealing with an interconnected story.
Very cool.
But I want to talk about another thing. I want to talk about Howard the Duck.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Seth Green, who played him in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Seth Green is Howard the Duck. Yep.
Or Infinity War, Infinity War. Or no, it was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So T'Challa goes to the Collector's hideout.
Or no, Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sorry, I'm all wrong. But yes, he goes to his hideout. So and the Collector's hideout. It's a whole different level than we see it in Guardians of the Galaxy when they go there.
Amped up. He's got so much more. I mean,
he's collected everything. Basically.
I mean, a very buff and imposing collector.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they definitely go out to show you that he, the character as the collector gains his power from collecting items.
Right.
So he now has a lot of items. So he's very powerful.
I very much got the impression that he had collected just about everying, and because T'Challa was like the prize of his collection, or that had been looking for him. Like, he had Thor's hammer. I mean, we'd have to go back and freeze frame that wall, but I'm pretty sure he had Mjolnir. He had Cap's shield. He had a dark elf blade that people are suspecting that's the blade that Malekith uses. Mm-hmm.
He had Hela's helmet, which in this episode shows that's the source of her power. He had a Kronlin fist that he used, which is the stone people from Thor.
Which I assume was Korg.
I mean, that was my first thought was, oh no, it's Korg's hand. But
exactly what I thought.
But he is not the only one of his species that we see in the Thor movies.
I would assume.
But based on the fact that we see Thor's hammer, I'm going to call for a moment of silence for Korg.
Yeah, for poor Korg.
Or at least Korg's hand.
Yeah.
Other funny notable things that I caught this episode. You can hear in the background Thanos is talking to I don't remember who Thanos. He's talking to Yondu, and he says something about his idea of cleansing the galaxy, and he says, well, and Yondu goes, well, that sounds a lot like genocide.
Well, they say it a couple times in the show, and it's really funny. It's like, because at the very end, he's trying to convince a Wakanda, like the head of the Wakandan Guard. I can't remember that character's name off the top of my head. Yeah, but she says the exact same thing. She's like, that sounds like genocide. He's like, no, because it's random.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it was Okoye that he was talking to. Yeah.
Yeah. Very dark. Very dark.
And then also at the same time, we pan away from Thanos and we see Kraglin in the background, and he's talking about traveling through space and how when you travel through space, if you do it too much, your face gets all squiggly squaggly, which is a callback to definitely in Guardians of the Galaxy when Kraglin and Rocket jump 150 times
or something like that. Yeah. I think that's the second one.
Yeah.
I finally got a Guardians Galaxy 2 reference on. But yeah, Howard the Duck was great. Him just going, no, it's happy hour, makes me really hope that if they do future Guardians of the Galaxy movies, either with James Gunn, hopefully, or without, and go in a different direction, I hope that eventually they bring Howard the Duck in, because especially after Spider-Ham, Spider-Ham in the Spider-Verse and everything, I think people are ready for Howard and Rocket. Is basically a Howard the Duck, character. But
And so that again brings us to the end of the episode. Peter Quill at Dairy Queen. Ego shows up. Peter Quill is listening to his famous Walkman with his music playing a Space Age love song.
Right.
Which is just such a fun callback because he's not in space. So, but that wraps up. Unless you had anything else, that wraps up episode 2 of What If.
Well, I mean, other than the, well, I think you know where I'm going here is, speaking of the Collector and the Collector being so collector heavy in this, big slice of baloney here, and this is a pet theory that I've been a big fan of and kind of pushing. But at the very end of the episode of the 6th episode of Loki, so the final episode, or at the very beginning of that, the last episode, they show, as we're going through the sacred timeline and all this stuff, there's a moment when, and I believe it's Pioneer 10, a space probe flies by as we're hearing Neil Armstrong say, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And then we see a jet fly by. And so I took a freeze frame of that jet and on my TV. And so we're probably going to put it up here. But I swear by the Infinity Gauntlet that's a 4 on the wing. And I even turned it upside down once and looked at it. But I think it's a blue 4 on the wing.
So
I was saying for weeks.
Heavy baloney. Lots of baloney.
Heavy baloney. Yeah.
We both talked about this. We called each other the day that it showed, and we're like, okay, what's the spaceship?
I think it's the Fantastijet. That's what I think. But the internet says
the director of Loki has come out and said that is the Collector's ship. They've shown screenshots of in Guardians of the Galaxy when they're when they're in nowhere, when they're with the Collector. You'd see a giant ship in the background. It's so big that you can't see the whole ship, but it's very reminiscent of what this ship looks like. So that's very possible. Now, however, getting into the what if section of this baloney, you mentioned, because I'm like, well, it's the Collector's ship, and you're like, well, right, but the Collector collects ships. So who did he collect the ship from?
He collects things, especially things, and he only collects things that are important in some way in the galaxy. Like you said, it's almost, that's his superpower, and that makes him more powerful, is collecting things that have a significance in the galaxy of value. And so I think he collected it from the Fantastic Four. It's crazy theory, way out there. But why would they show this ship? Why would this ship and as we're strange. And at the beginning of the episode, we're going through the Infinity, and the sign, and we're hearing all these famous lines, but we're hearing all these famous lines that characters have said throughout the Marvel movies, right? Right. So why this one thing at the very end?
It's a very strange and important call out that doesn't have an answer yet. And hopefully there will be an answer, and you're not just teasing us with a random ship.
Yeah, because, I mean, why? Why put in the Neil Armstrong thing, which is time's up with right around, if you're going to do an Ant-Man thing with the Fantastic Four and bring them in the 60s, which is what you and I have talked about many times, is what we think they should do and how they will bring it in. It'll be kind of like Ant-Man, where they've been lost in the quantum realm or in deep space or in another dimension like Captain Carter got sucked into, but that we're going to get in the Fantastic Four movie that, will hopefully be coming, that Marvel's going to make it right with the Fantastic Four, and that they'll actually have been a team back in like the 60s, even predating Ant-Man, which they're stationed in the Marvel universe.
Right. And we've both waxed endlessly about that thought. We're both of the opinion that we hope that Marvel has the Fantastic Four be superheroes in the past and then get trapped either in the quantum realm and dealing with Kang, or somewhere lost in space or lost in time, and now they come back to our time proper,
to basically save everybody, a la Captain Marvel at the end of Endgame.
Yep. And of course, dealing with the multiverse now, Fantastic Four can be anywhere, The mutants can be anywhere. Marvel has a blank check that they can write to put anybody anywhere they want to, recast characters. Hopefully they don't recast characters, but they have a blank check that they can do whatever they want to in a multiverse. And now including What If in that multiverse, Marvel has carte blanche.
But so that's my big slice of baloney. Thank you. That's part of the reason I finally, was like, we got to do this podcast. I just have to get it out. I just had to puke it all out. Like I just had the whole thing about that ship because it's been driving me crazy. Yeah. So I hope it does mean something, because otherwise, why?
Right. So I want to go real briefly into just some other Marvel news that came out recently.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, we got a tweet from Samuel L. Jackson. I think it was on his Instagram.
I did see that.
About the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, now we have confirmation Samuel L. Jackson will be returning in the Marvels along with Brie Larson.
Which is ostensibly Captain Marvel 2, but they're calling it the Marvels. Which is ostensibly
Captain Marvel 2. They're calling it the Marvels because we're going to get Captain Marvel. We're going to get Tiana Harris as Photon, and
from WandaVision.
From WandaVision.
Yep.
And I'm gonna apologize right now. I don't know the gal's name that's playing Miss Marvel in the Marvel in the Disney Plus series.
And when is that coming out? When is the Miss Marvel show coming out, or supposed to come out?
I think Miss Marvel is sometime next year.
Okay.
I don't, because this year, we have Hawkeye. And we have what else? The Eternals. We have SpiderMan. I don't think there's any other Disney Plus that we're getting. I could be wrong. I don't have my timeline in front of me.
You don't have the sacred timeline?
I don't have my sacred timeline. But of course, Samuel L. Jackson posted a picture wearing his Captain Marvel shirt and a picture of his fake beard and mustache, obviously telling us that Nick Fury is back. And of course, we're going to get Miss Marvel in Disney Plus and the Marvels. Talking about Disney Plus shows, we got our first glimpse at Moon Knight, played by Oscar Isaacs. So obviously just started production. So that's probably going to be a 2023 release.
So definitely with with Shang-Chi, with WandaVision, Marvel definitely doubling down more into the magic, into the spiritualism, into the again, different types of super powers and heroes that 10, 15 years ago wouldn't have been possible to even try to do. But because we're going to have Blade soon, so we're going to be talking vampires, werewolves. I mean, it's about to get weird up in here in the MCU.
Yeah, we have Hawkeye, which is going to be the return of I'm going to butcher her name, Elena Bolova.
Mm-hmm.
We have Shang-Chi, we have Spider-Man. Back here on the TV, hopefully we'll get a Spider-Man trailer soon. The whole internet's aflame. The whole internet's aflame on where Spider, J. Jonah Jameson, bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Right.
My guess.
That was a really good J. Jonah Jameson, man.
So my guess, if I were to throw some baloney up against the wall, I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man behind Shang-Chi. I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man behind the Eternals. I think that Sony is going to play their card and put Spider-Man after Venom, There Will Be Carnage. It's Spider-Man is a Sony Marvel joint. And although Venom has a huge following, I'm willing to bet that Sony wants to play those cards and say, we want to tell you that we're going to get Spider-Man in Venom, and that's going to be the other draw to get the rest of the people that aren't on board with necessarily the Venom movie.
Right. You think there's going to be the way Spider-Man will end up somehow they're going to get to tease Venom at the end of it.
I don't think we'll see a tie-in yet. I think that's still in the works, but I definitely think we're going to see the trailer before Venom plays. So that's my guess for when
I know
when that's
the
gonna
Spider-Man No Way Home is such a possibly ominous title. Like
right.
for us as general like MCU Spider-Man fans.
Absolutely,
again,
because
I want Sony to
Tom
succeed. I want Sony to succeed with Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man next to Batman. Those are my two tops favorites superheroes. So I want them to do well. If they're going to do Sinister Six, if they're going to do more into the Spider-Verse, but maybe live action or more anime, whatever they're going to do, I want them success. But I don't want to lose my MCU Spidey.
Right. Yeah. I love Tom Holland. Tom Holland so
Yeah.
far. I love the other two Spider-Man movies. Tobey Maguire is obviously my first Spider-Man. I love Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield played a different, more snarky Spider-Man. I loved his Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Tom Holland is by far my favorite so far of Spider-Man. That's just not pandering to Marvel or the MCU, which I think does things brilliantly and is somehow casting actors that are those characters. But yeah, Tom Holland's contract is ostensibly up at the end of this movie. We may have no more Tom Holland Spider-Man. Granted, we had plenty of Robert Downey Jr. left over after his contract expired for Iron Man. So, I mean, it's in Marvel and Sony's hands right now as where we get more Tom Holland Spider-Man. With all the crazy rumors that are going on right now about No Way Home with Doc Ock. There's now.
Well, these aren't even rumors anymore. These are past rumors.
Doc Ock is confirmed.
Yes.
This
is applesauce. This is beyond baloney.
I'm gonna say we have a confirmed Green Goblin. That we're gonna have Osborn. I think he came out and actually made a tweet the other day that he's like, I'm done. We're talking about things that are happening. I don't like living, in the past, so I'm in the movie. So gonna have Osborn, gonna have Octavius.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
That's awesome.
Tobey Maguire is still playing coy. Andrew Garfield's still playing coy, but there was a sighting of Mary Jane, Kirsten Dunst,
nice,
and Tobey Maguire on set for reshoots. There was a sighting of oh god, what was his Daredevil?
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
And I can't remember her name right now either because I'm having a horrible morning.
It's all right. Yeah, you're broadcasting from Tatooine, so we got to do these early because you have to leave your fan off while we're recording. So
it's miserable here. So I mean, there's so we're gonna get more Electro. He came out and he's like, I'm in the movie and I'm
Jamie
not
Foxx.
blue.
Nice.
More Jamie Foxx.
Nice.
Well,
then it sounds like it's
we're gonna be absolutely wild, and the toys that have dropped already,
that's always a big spoiler indicator. Spoilers.
They've dropped the Lego sets. They've dropped the toys already.
See, I can't go down the Lego aisle when they do that because Lego, I don't know how it slips through, but the Lego stuff will way. I mean, remember when Guardians of the Galaxy 2, there was a couple set pieces that was like, oh, okay, well, I guess this happens.
Now, obviously, Lego sometimes adds stuff that's they embellish because they need stuff for Lego. But I mean, it's heavy spoilers in the Lego aisle. So I'm not going to go into it here. I don't want to spoil you, and obviously, people at home, you can go look up the toys for yourself if you want to see them. But there's heavy Doctor Strange implications for the Spider-Verse.
Well, right. Well, and that brings me back to What If, just kind of full circle here for a sec. Isn't there, I swear I've seen a, Spider Strange, or the Strange, or Doctor Spider Strange, or a Spider-Man with the Doctor Strange cloak.
That is part of the art for What If.
Okay, so we might see a Peter Parker as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, which would be wild.
Amazing.
So that's our kind of a Marvel wrap up. There is just a couple more things that I want to hit today before we sign off for this episode.
What do you got?
So Disney just the other day dropped brand new adaptive costuming for
All right, what's
Halloween
adaptive?
for kids for
Adaptive
Halloween.
costumes?
So I'll get to it. So Disney every year puts on their Boo Bash and their Oogie Boogie Halloween parties. Huge things. It's the only time of the year that Disney allows adults to come in wearing full costume. I love going. I've gone the last, I'd say the last 4 years, except for last year was ruined because of the plague. But I mean, it's so fun. So Disney is now in their role of being an inclusive provider, adaptive costuming. So you asked what that means. They now have costumes for kids with special needs, kids in wheelchairs.
Oh, that's cool.
Kids with feeding tubes, with insulin ports.
Nice.
So it's so great, and they don't have a huge line, but
Right.
I mean it's coming. I mean,
And you've always you're a bigger Disney goer. You go a couple times a year, so you know better than I do. But I mean, the park has always been pretty like inclusive, like making sure people can get on, like as much as possible can get on the rides that they want to get on. That's pretty accessible there, right?
Yeah, they work really hard to be very accessible.
Awesome.
They do a great job.
Well, that's cool. Do you have some
people with
some
dietary
pictures of
needs,
them?
people with handicap needs. I mean, they have a Cinderella's Coach wheelchair cover.
Oh, that's awesome.
They have a Mandalorian, a Razor Crest chair cover. They have
I'm
they have an
jealous of
Incredimobile.
I want
They have a
that.
Buzz Lightyear, and then the costumes to go with. And each of the costumes has Velcro and ports,
Like
and-
adjustable
and
like,
different
stuff. Yeah.
adjustable things and places that can open for like feeding tubes and various
cool.
other accommodatable
Hey.
gear.
Go Disney.
So it's just some close-ups of some of the outfits.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean,
Very cool.
I love their Halloween. Of course, I love Disney. I kind of infect everybody I know with Disney. If you know me, you have to talk about Disney because I'm not going to not talk about it.
I know I've learned
and-
that. I've
yeah.
learned that over the many
And-
years that we've been talking about stuff. You've even brought me into the fold. Of course, Star Wars helped.
Well,
that, but,
well,
I've been
Star Wars brought you into the fold, but now
Yes.
that there's Galaxy's Edge, now that there's the Avengers Campus.
Oh yeah, I am excited about the Avengers Campus.
So I have my tickets this year for Halloween. I'll be there Halloween night.
Hopefully I'll be there. Hopefully I'll be there with you.
I think Eric's going to be there. We'll get some shots and we'll talk about some stuff while we're at Galaxy's Edge if we get a chance, or while we're at Avengers Campus.
But you're definitely going to be doing a show from there.
But I'll
whether I make it or
definitely
not, yeah.
I'll definitely whether it's a live show or it's a post that I come back and put up. So look for that early November, because of course I'll be there in October. But that's all I have for today.
Cool.
That's all I have for today for applesauce and bologna.
Bologna and applesauce.
So like and follow us on Facebook. Follow, subscribe, ring the little bell to get your notifications on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so this
hope
we're
you
gonna start.
enjoy.
So we're gonna start trying to drop these on a more regular basis on Mondays. So
That's when
hang
this
in there
should
with
drop.
us.
Yeah, that's when this
Hang in
one
there with
should
us.
drop, but, yeah.
We're gonna start dropping these on Monday. So definitely,
And that'll
come on
hopefully have
back.
given you time to catch up with stuff, because when they start rolling out the Star Wars stuff on Fridays, we figure that gives everybody Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, just listen to us applesauce and bologna on your way to work or something.
Right. So, until next time, guys, enjoy your lunch, and come back for some more applesauce and bologna.
All right, see you next time.